1, 2, we pick it up, go!
Mankind must put an end to war. A war will put an end to mankind.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Well, I'm not drunk. I earned everything I got.
Change will not come if we wait for some other person.
Hey, Internet, this is Elliot, and this is Blind Partisan. I'm here with my arch nemesis, Jacob.
Arch nemesis?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you inserted yourself into the whole deal here.
Oh, is that how this works now?
Well, I mean, I didn't insert you.
No comment.
So, anyway, so we're playing around with how we're handling things, I guess, right?
Always.
Yeah.
Always be experimental.
So the Overlord, Mr. Daniel Jones, decided that it'd be cool if he picks our topics for today. So what do we got going on today?
So today we're talking about what was that? Kind of a word that's pretty big in the news right now.
Burrito?
Last couple days. What is with you and burritos?
Who doesn't love burritos?
They are pretty good, but no. We are talking about probably the furthest thing away from a burrito.
Oh, a Dairy Queen Blizzard.
I mean, it's still food.
I guess I'm hungry.
It sounds like it. You did bike over here, so maybe you worked up an appetite.
That's true.
We're talking about Russia.
Yeah, we are talking about Russia.
So what do you know about Russia?
Yeah.
Before getting into the political side about it, what's the first thing that you know?
What's the first thing that comes into my mind? Like the iconic Kremlin. Like that's the first thing that comes into mind. And then I watched The Americans. So I feel like I'm almost more familiar with 1980s Soviet era Russia than I am now. And I actually think that is and we can get into that, but I think that's a big part of the problem people have with Russia. They're not what they used to be.
So for me, it's food. Because
food.
Yeah, Russian food. I really, really love cooking Russian food.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a hobby of mine. I love making borscht.
Yeah.
And fermenting some nice kvass or eating some chibiyek.
All right.
Good stuff.
I don't know what any of those things are.
Borscht is soup.
Well, okay.
It's beet soup.
Yeah.
It's yummy.
Yeah. Okay.
Make you some.
All right. I had beets last night, so I'm not a beet.
You had review your beets.
Well, Gina made beets, so of course they were awesome. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Saying that to save some.
No,
space,
they actually let her low. She's an awesome cook, actually. So
nice.
she doesn't make anything bad.
So why are we talking about Russia specifically? I mean, there are 192 countries in the world, something like that. Why that one in particular?
Well, all right. I have, I think, some controversial opinions on the whole deal. I feel like I actually feel like it's taking our eye off the ball to talk about Russia so much. They are at best, they're a second-tier economic power. They're a military power, but I don't know why we care.
They're a military power. Yeah,
they're not invading Canada or Mexico, or Cuba anymore. So why do we care?
Economically, they are second tier.
I mean, growing economy. So there's the BRIC countries, right? So
yeah.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, right?
Right. I think it's fair to say China's moved out. I feel like
China's out of that group now, right?
Yeah.
I think once they are by every economic measure past the United States, I think we have to put them out of that. But
yeah. The big superpowers financially in the world feel to me like it's the United States, China, and the Eurozone.
Well, if you count that as one country,
you really should because they trade together.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, until there's more Grexits and Frexits, which I think could very well happen. So I guess I kind of played my hand there. I think I agree with Trump on this.
All right, hold on.
Yeah. Which kind of hurts to say because obviously I did not vote for him. I didn't care for him. I didn't care for Hillary either. I think most Americans didn't care for either of them.
No. They both suck.
Yeah, I mean, suck is a strong word, but I I understand where people are coming from. It sounds like he's dissing. So, I mean, to recap, they had a press conference. He's like, well, he asked Putin, did you spy on us? Did you meddle with our election? Putin said, nope. And Trump said, okie dokie. I understand where people are coming from on that. I get it. Let me just paint this scenario. So I was talking with my brother Justin about this today. We were on a big long bike ride earlier, and I'm like, all right, so we got to talk about these things. And so let's assume that it's the worst possible scenario. So the Russians directly through direct Putin recommendations and orders, they cracked into the DNC, they cracked into the RNC, they cracked into voting machines, and without their meddling, Hillary Clinton would be president. Let's assume that that's true. So, all right, cool. What do you do? And I don't know that anybody has an answer. They just want to yell about it. But all right, if we're gonna be realistic and relatively adult about it, what are you gonna do? All right, fire off the nukes and just end the world.
I think there are a lot of ways to look at this.
Yeah,
but the first thing.
Well, so how do you feel about it? I mean, are you just in awe of how ridiculous I sound, or I mean, how do you feel about it?
I agree with you that there's not really a good next step, because nothing like this has really happened to us before. There are plenty of examples of Russia and, yes, also the United States meddling with other countries, meddling with their elections.
I mean, we do every day.
Yeah, we do that kind of stuff all the time.
More than anyone.
But it's not a good thing. And the worrisome thing is that we're being complacent. Because that says, hey, big red flag to Russia and to other countries, China, North Korea.
So when you say complacent, what do you mean by that?
What are we doing about it? We've got an ongoing investigation into collusion.
Yeah.
But we've got big parts of our own country and our own media and our president saying there's no big deal.
So, so there are a couple pieces to that, right? So it's very common if you're running a business, let's say, that even if you have some big turmoil going on in the business, you're gonna put on a good face, right? You're gonna be like, no, things are cool. But I want to dig into what you're saying about in trying to do more about it. We need to do things in our country about it. It has nothing to do with Russia, really, because it could be China, it could be North Korea, it could be Canada.
Russia's just a player.
We need to shore up our stuff. Now, I don't care about anybody breaking into the DNC or the RNC. I don't care. That they're a private organization. That is their business. That's their deal. So if the Russians broke into the DNC somehow, who cares? Yeah, it's criminal, and you could try to sue them or something, but that's espionage. That happens all the time. Whatever. I don't care. The DNC needs to take care of business there. They need to fix their stuff. They got to stop putting personal email servers in everybody's closets.
We did it, guys. We mentioned servers and emails. We did it. High five.
Hey, I mean, I fully recognize that whole thing was overblown, but was it? Maybe it wasn't. It's symptomatic of this whole greater issue. We have came out fitness trackers, so Strava, but I think also Fitbit. They showed that they can pinpoint people with the CIA, with the NSA, they can pinpoint where they live because they leave their fitness trackers on. We got stuff to clean up on our side before we need to worry about any of that
the big
stuff.
Security risk that was revealed?
No.
I don't know if this is something that just resurfaced, but some companies behind ballot machines.
Yeah.
It was found out that they had installed a bunch of remote access software.
Turn that stuff off.
And remote access modems and stuff.
Yeah, don't
on their vote counting machines.
Don't do that.
You're a tech guy.
Don't need it.
Is that not one of the biggest red flags ever?
Right. So, I rewatched all of Battlestar Galactica a few weeks back, and
nerd.
Yeah, no, it's one of the greatest shows. It's right up there with Breaking Bad and The Sopranos and The Wire. I put Battlestar Galactica right up there. But one of the very first things they did is they have their battle stars in space. Guess what? They disconnected the network because they're fighting against people who are good at that stuff. They're fighting against Cylons. We're fighting against Russian and Chinese hackers, and in some
North
case,
Korean
American hackers who are routing their stuff through Russia. So, we have bad guys on our own soil. There are people. We need to shore our stuff up. Like, I don't know why this is treated like it's no big deal. Like, there is no excuse for that. Security policies are not easy to follow. Don't get me wrong. They're not easy to follow, but you have to follow them. There are rules. And instead we do stupid things like scanning people at the airport and then things end up slipping through anyway. Like, let's do the things that actually matter.
I mean, the TSA is universally a failure. It's like, that's not an opinion. That's a fact.
Right.
The TSA is
but
really
I just
bad.
view that as like, that is just it's a metaphor for everything that our federal government does in terms of security. We're going to pretend like we have security.
I think there are two separate issues here, though. There's the blatant security flaws, interwoven into everything, not in our country only, but everywhere. And we are incredibly vulnerable to so many things, right?
Yeah, for lots of reasons too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, most of our electronics are made in China.
But there's also the issue, would you say that if information came out right now that Nixon, former president, during his election campaign, worked with other countries and received funding or assistance from them, would that be a bad thing?
Well, I mean, it happens indirectly. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, you can try to follow the money trail, but then the cure becomes worse than the disease, right? So, like, if you put too many restrictions on election financing, then only the bad guys win anyway, because the good guys, they're just buried under a mountain of paperwork, and they're going to lose the elections because the bad guys can find ways around it. I believe in the least amount of possible restrictions and in inquisitions into those matters. You know, people still have to vote. You can spend unlimited amounts of money. I think Hillary outspent the Donald.
Oh yeah.
You know, it isn't
what is it
about money.
Total in her campaign, I want to say, if you add everything up between primary and the full election, it was over $1 billion.
Yeah. And, Scott Walker has, I read, 6 times more in his campaign fund than any of the Democrats, or maybe all of them put together. I have no idea what it actually was. But that doesn't mean he's going to win. You know?
So what's really worrisome for me right now, and for a lot of people, though, is the signs leading to the question of, is the leader of our country compromised? And this isn't a left or right thing. This isn't like an equivalent to getting mad about Obama's birth certificate. Mm-hmm. That isn't the same thing.
Right.
This isn't some conspiracy theory nut jobby. This is a serious worry and question. Is the president of the United States compromised? Whether he's compromised due to financial assets that are owned by Russians, or just due to his own personal like of Putin, or PP tapes, or whatever it may be. Regardless of the reason or the cause or anything, is this something that's happening? And if it is, what do we do?
Yeah, I don't think we can do anything about it other than, vote for somebody else next time. I mean, honestly, like, other than if you have a problem with where he got his money, and it's a problem with enough Americans, then you take care of it next time around. Honestly, like,
unless our elections are hacked, right?
So if there was like a direct thing where the actual election, the voting machines, or the people that were doing the counting in some way, if that was compromised, I think that is an international actionable offense, and we could, whatever we can.
Agreed.
UN sanctions, whatever. Right?
So that is not something that there's any evidence of.
No, I don't. I don't think there is.
There
I
could.
think their biggest. You know what their biggest crime was? They bought Facebook ads. I'm having a real hard time getting all up in arms because people are morons and fell for fake news.
It's not just ads. It was a full campaign.
So?
My personal social media of choice, my favorite website is Reddit.
Okay.
I use
Do we
Reddit.
believe in freedom of speech or not?
I use Reddit 3-4 hours a day. I really like Reddit.
Sure.
I'm one of those types of nerds, right?
Yeah.
Reddit has a huge problem with Russians because there are millions of fake Russian accounts just spreading propaganda after propaganda after propaganda after propaganda after propaganda.
That's not a Russian problem. That's a technology problem.
It's not just on one side. It's not all pro Donald Trump or against Donald Trump. It's both. It's meant to tear us apart. That's Russia's goal. Russia, I don't think Putin's like, yes, I have Donald right in my grasp. It's, yes,
So
I'm causing a civil war in
You
America.
know what? That's not on them. That's on us. You know, we meddle in every country's elections. Every single country on earth. You said there's 192 countries. We have 192 assets on the ground messing with elections, at least. And if we don't, what are we spending our military budget on? We have a budget as big as the next 10 countries put together. All
right.
We're meddling. We are meddlers, and what goes around comes around.
Here's a question for you. Is Russia a foe, an enemy of the United States?
No. The only way in which they are an enemy is because they still to this day probably have some nukes pointed at us, but they're 40 years old and probably don't work.
I disagree.
And the thing is, if they ever launch those, that's the end of the world. So, like, are they a foe? No. In fact, I agree with Trump's almost entire thing on this, where he's like, we're the two nuclear powers. We need to figure this out and fix it. But we need peace.
Trump, during his trip to the EU, both said Russia is not a foe.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the EU is.
So why does he say that?
That's a good question. Why does he say that?
So I don't agree with how he said it, but I'm going to try to interpret this into a way that I think is meaningful to America, right? So the EU, they haven't been paying their fair share. NATO hasn't been paying their fair share. And, you know, I've read plenty where people are like, well, that's by design because we want to have control. Why do we need to control Europe? Why do we need to control? Why do we need to even have a say as to what they're doing over there, except in regard to trade, period? Like, why do we don't care? And you know what? Okay, well, we have our treaty, our North American Treaty Organization, or North Atlantic, I'm sorry, not North American, right? North Atlantic, whatever, right? So we have this treaty with these other countries. They need to pay their fair share.
Also, total side note.
Yeah.
100% side note, but I firmly believe that Turkey needs to be kicked out of NATO.
Okay, why?
You know everything going on with Turkey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Turkey's not our ally.
So
whatsoever.
Well, but we had missiles in Turkey for a long time.
Yeah, we
Probably
did.
Still do.
No, no. Have you ever heard of something called the Cuba Missile Crisis?
Yeah.
We took them out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but we continually do things to provoke other countries, and then we act all shocked and surprised when they do things to retaliate. I'm not like saying it's okay. Putin's a bad guy. Like, these are all true things, right?
Putin's awful.
But so what? What are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
Like North Korea, the guy's a terrible person. So what do? You have to you have to do the best you can do. You know, if you don't like your boss, you don't hire a hitman on him. You know,
your boss is really not the words you should be using with questions. You know, with Donald Trump and Putin right now.
Sure, I mean, but that's the big joke. It's like a puppet kind of thing. You know what? If you actually feel that way, then don't vote for him next time.
So what I'd like to just go over right now are some of the reasons that Russia really should be considered our foe.
Okay.
Because you say they're not.
I you know what? I view very, very few countries on planet Earth as foes of the United States. Our military is bigger than all of them put together.
Not just about the military.
I don't know what foe means then.
Enemy, someone we should be hesitant about.
Well, I think you should be hesitant.
Someone you should be worried about and defensive against.
I think that's true of almost all countries.
Let's look at some of the things Russia's done.
Okay.
So, no doubt that in some ways Russia did try to influence our election. Whether or not the response of, yeah, well, we did it, we do it too, is fair. They did that. That's undeniable.
I don't think it's just that. I think we need to fix our stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
We need to, and we need to fix our stuff.
They annexed Crimea.
None of our business.
Ukraine's one of our closest allies.
Not true.
They're a part of NATO.
They're
We're supposed to stick together.
Okay.
All right.
So so we're going to go to war with Russia over a small territory dispute.
We're also close allies with Finland. And
Finland's
been
most of the people there want to be part of Russia. They don't want to be part of Ukraine.
Okay, but Austria said the same thing when Hitler rolled in.
Okay.
Yeah. Finland's been terrified of invasion from Russia, and Russia has been constantly aggressive towards them.
Maybe they should, instead of spending their money in Finland on, I don't know, fermented fish and healthcare, maybe they should beef up their border security.
Finland actually has a pretty decent military.
Really?
Yeah.
Where do they rank on the list?
I don't know.
Yeah, like 1,000th.
1,000th out of like 200?
We're like number one. These Scandinavian countries have been skating by without putting their money where their mouth is.
Are we allies with the UK?
Sure.
Okay. Russian-linked attacks happened in the UK using nerve gas.
So what do you want to do about it? I don't dispute that they do some bad things, but we do bad things too. So, what goes around comes around. So what should we do? We don't like it when people attack us.
They shot down MH17, killing tons of innocent civilians.
So what should we do?
They've funded the Syrian civil war and have directly led to the casualties of millions, maybe not, hundreds of thousands of
So what
civilians.
should we do? Just
That's
say they're
the question.
bad? We are saying
I don't
bad.
know what the right answer is. But I know what the wrong answer is.
We are saying they're bad. Trump is trying to, we have plenty of people in our government that are saying, okay, they're being bad cop. He wants to try to be good cop on this. I don't know. I mean, what do you want him to do instead? You just want him to go up on stage when they have a joint press conference and say, I'm up here with Putin. He's a terrible guy. And
on a side note,
we're never going to get along.
Did you catch that Putin invited Robert Mueller to go to Moscow?
No.
Yeah. Like during that press conference.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a threat.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But see, Putin's a shady guy. I mean, he's a former KGB agent, and he has to be in order to have been in power for the past 20 years, right? He kills journalists. Yeah. He kills his political opponents.
Is George Bush Sr. a shady guy because he was involved in...
Did George Bush Sr. assassinate a bunch of people?
Did he not?
I haven't heard of anything.
I bet a lot of Russians don't hear about the Putin assassinations either.
All right, now you're going off the deep end.
Not really. We do all sorts of bad things. Obama was heralded as the savior of humanity, got a peace prize. He sends drones and kills children.
Obama has no idea. Obama's even joked about the fact that he didn't deserve a peace prize.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, so like our leaders do terrible things every single day.
But
so it's great that Russia's terrible. Russia's not terrible, but Putin's
Russia is terrible.
I think Putin's probably pretty terrible. But,
yeah.
I
think Russian civilians are fine. Sure. They're just people.
Right. So like that's the other piece of it. Like, is Putin a bad guy? Yeah, but he's their leader. So what are we going to do about it?
So the thing is, though, our response has been bad.
How?
By us saying, it's okay, I believe Putin.
No.
Over
us didn't say that. I saw him interviewed by U.S. journalists. Like, he's not off the hook. In fact, it's being talked about more because of Trump's statements. I don't know. Should he have been more forceful? Sure. But like, in what?
Forceful?
When?
He should have been more everything.
So they have a joint press conference. He's supposed to cut the guy down.
Okay, so
he has a joint conference with people in the UK. He says one little bad thing, and they're all over him.
Here's my question. Actually, he said a lot of bad things, like claiming that Ireland was a part of the UK.
Well, was it Northern?
No. He claimed Ireland was a part of the UK.
Okay.
And he even confirmed that by saying that he has properties there. He does not own any properties in Northern Ireland, only in Ireland.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was kind of bad. Really, really, really bad. But I
don't know.
The point is,
I don't know. Would it be really bad if somebody came over here and confused North Dakota and South Dakota, or like a state in Mexico for a state in for a part of New Mexico? I don't know. Is that a big deal? I don't know if it's a big deal.
That's like saying that Palestine's a part of Israel.
I understand because they had some border squabbles, and some there's history there, but like,
you ever heard of the IRA?
Sure, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So, but the point is that I'm really trying to make is, what are Putin's goals in all this? Everyone wants something.
Well,
what does Putin?
So primarily, I see him as wanting Russia to be recognized by the world at large, himself to be recognized by the world at large as having an outsized influence, kind of like Obama said. Obama. What did Obama say? That was that I don't know, 10 years ago now. I don't know. It was a while.
You're getting old.
Well, when did he? I forget which election he said that for. Was it against Romney or was it against?
I don't know. You haven't said the quote.
So he said that Russia is basically insignificant. They're like a second tier country, and like I think it was against Romney, and Romney was like, "What are you talking about? Russia does all sorts of bad things," but it's like, but they do bad things, but like on a small scale. Like they're just a slightly bigger version of Iran or North Korea. You know what
I see as their biggest goal? One of their goals has been, sowing discourse here. Yeah. And they've done a pretty good job at that.
Why not? What? Why not? Why not kick the big guy?
Yeah.
Why not do that? Like we would do the same thing.
Their biggest fundamental goal, I think, is to tear us away from our allies.
Okay.
And you know how the best way to do that is? Have the United States not stand with those allies when they need it. The UK was actually attacked by Russia with nerve agents, with sarin gas. Right? Sarin.
Okay.
And we said nothing. We did not stand with them. Every other country in NATO, in the European Union, and everywhere, all their allies besides us stood with them.
Yep.
How does that look?
Well, what does standby mean? Like, what are we supposed to do?
We didn't even call them out.
Well, how'd you hear about it?
From news.
Yeah. Okay. So
okay.
We as a culture, we are calling them out.
Okay, but do they see that?
Does who see that?
Does the UK see that?
You don't think the UK people in the UK follow American news?
That's not the point.
We as a culture are calling them out. Our leader,
our government, not our leader, our government.
Okay.
Because it starts at the top with him, but it goes all the way down the chain.
But the sarin thing, when did that happen? That was wasn't it?
No, it was this year. Well, maybe late 2017.
Was it?
Yeah.
I feel like it was longer ago than that, but okay. And well, yeah, no excuse for that. So should we stick up for our allies and say it's bad? Yeah, but the other thing is you don't want to create like a cold war or a hot war with a nuclear power unless you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. So like I would be really nervous making those claims until they're totally proven. And by the time they're proven, like that's kind of fallen off the political news radar.
It's a complicated issue, but we're not doing the right thing now.
But I don't. What is the right thing?
Well, first of all, it's actually not taking Putin at his word.
Okay,
I think that's a good.
When you have a joint press conference, he says one thing, and you're just like, nope.
Well,
nope.
How about not
Fake
directly
news.
saying that I believe Putin when it comes to Russian elections because he said so very forcefully. That's a direct thing Donald Trump said.
Okay.
Maybe start there, and we'll work our way from there.
Okay, so we've done that as a country with him. So that, you know what, like maybe try something different.
Like what?
Like say, okay, you know what, we know you did this, but like whatever, we're gonna trust you. Let's move forward.
So we give in.
How is that giving in? Like there's a big difference between saying going forward we're gonna get along. Okay, I'm gonna just I believe you. You're saying you didn't do it. I believe you. Let's move forward.
So then the next time it happens, which there will be a next time. I mean, there's already strong evidence.
People that are like cutting this stuff down, are they not married? I mean, sometimes you just have to like bite your tongue and just move forward. I'm not clear on what we're supposed to do.
I have heard of that.
He's literally like he's in where this was in. Was this in Sweden, right?
Was this Finland? He was in Helsinki.
It was in Finland. All right, so Helsinki.
Yeah, Helsinki.
Yeah. So like he's over there. Is he supposed to like make a big fight? Like I'm not exactly sure what people want right now. It's not everybody. So there are Trump supporters, and he could do no wrong.
Also, as a side comment, if Donald Trump's trying to prove he's not, compromised by Russia, he's doing a really bad job at it.
But like, why does he need to prove it?
Because there's questioning of him doing that.
Well, who's saying that there's proof that he?
I mean, if someone accused,
it's a big difference between buying some Facebook.
If someone includes
and paying off the president.
If someone accused Angela Merkel of being a lesbian and she didn't want to be perceived as that, would you see her hanging around at a bunch of gay bars?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean,
like.
So we're not supposed to have any dealings with Russia. We're just supposed to
We're not supposed to have a meeting with the leaders of our two countries that no one knows about, that's secret, and then have a press conference after where our president basically swears his allegiance to him.
Well, but they do that all the time. They always have a closed door meeting and then
there was absolutely no what's the word I'm looking for? Subject, the fancy word for that, like
agenda.
That's the word I was looking for. Okay. Thank you. There was no agenda for the meeting.
Yeah,
that's sketchy.
Yeah,
and that's perceived as sketchy.
That's fine. I guess it's matter of degree, right? So I'm not saying like could he have been a slightly more focused on the bad stuff? Sure. I guess I'm like looking like where does that get us? When he's talking about NATO and about the EU and like, where does it get us being forceful with them? Well, they're supposedly our allies and they do some pretty crappy things to us. So they're not paying their fair share. Like we're in debt. We are like our biggest problem is not Russia or the EU or Mexico. Our biggest problem is the debt. It is crushing our country, crushing it. We're getting older. More of it's healthcare. More of it's going to be paying, payment service on the debt. Like this is, I don't care about any of these other countries in comparison. We're killing ourselves. So like those things are so small potatoes. It's fine to be kind of like bothered, like, oh, I wish he would have done this differently, but like calling him a traitor, calling him treasonous, I don't know.
I think that's fair game.
I don't feel like I'm the radical one here by saying, I think it's fine.
Well, we'll let the people decide. How about that?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Joel disagrees. I think he wants to send nukes in on Putin, right? Like that, the military answered everything.
I think our president's plan is to send nukes to Canada.
I don't think he actually wants to send nukes to anywhere. But
no.
But he knew whose bluff he could call. He's like, all right, North Korea, you think you got a nuke? We have 1,000. Go ahead.
That's a dangerous game to play. You got any final thoughts?
Is it
this one?
Well, my thought
we're running long.
My thought is like I don't think we want him to be that. We've seen him confrontational. I don't think we want him to be that confrontational to an actual nuclear superpower. So like I feel more comfortable with that than the alternative. So that's my final thought. I'm like, it's fine. So,
this has been an episode.
Hey, feel free to cut it all out and make me say I love Putin or whatever. I don't care.
No, you just said it. Now we're just going to repeat that sound clip over.
That's fine. That's fine.
See, that's how modern day media works. You get that 1-2 second sound clip and you roll with it for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I love Putin. But...
See, you said it again. See, we're just going to edit in the first clip.
All right.
That. See, magic. That's the power of CNN, baby.
So if people want to disagree with me, I'm Elliot on the Twitter. We have the Blind Partisan.
You can tell he's been on Twitter for a long time just by his username, his handle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So feel free to heckle me there. Go on to the Blind Partisan community group. Heckle me there. And give your opinions. That's all I got.
Yeah. Russia, good, bad, somewhere in the middle? Let us know. Like borscht?
No. Bye.